Tech Yeah Podcast.
That's pretty good. So, you know what's weird?
What?
I was using the restroom before we started. And I said, let me hit the head real quick.
Yeah.
What kind of a saying is hit the head?
It's a nautical term, Tony.
Is it?
Absolutely.
Are you sure? Are you
Yeah.
messing with
Oh,
me?
yeah. That's total nautical term. Hit the head. Yep.
So what's the head?
The bathroom.
It's just called the head?
Yeah, it's called a head. Kitchen's a galley.
I know a kitchen's a galley.
Yeah.
Why is it a head?
I couldn't tell you. The etymology, I am not familiar with.
It's just such a strange. I mean, even if I was on a boat, I was a pirate, right? And I was drinking grog.
Well, if you're a pirate though,
oranges.
you're really going into a bathroom. You're
And
just
someone's like, I gotta hit the head, mate.
you're peeing over the side. I think of that.
And I was-
What a great lead into Tech Yeah. Episode 34. Welcome everybody to Tech Yeah. Today we've got some updates on some of the biggest companies in technology, as well as some porn talk, which I'm very excited
it's
for.
not just porn.
It's
okay?
well, that's where we're going to focus on
I think-
is porn.
I think you start with the porn. I think the porn, the technology emerges through the porn,
Yeah.
but then you start to see the real uses.
Yes. So
After that.
we'll get into all that, but before that, Tony, how was your week?
My week's been going pretty good. It was a short, long weekend. You know what I'm talking about? It was very uneventful. It kind of drug on in a good way, but also was over before I saw it coming. This week should be more eventful. I have my niece's graduation on Thursday. She's graduating high school.
Sweet.
Makes me feel so old.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but I'm going to hustle down to San Diego and then get back here for work Friday. Yeah, that's good. And I'm waiting for my new pair. So our insurance rolls over at the beginning of this month, so today. And I was like, oh, I should burn my glasses credit, right, and get some glasses. So I went to the optometrist on Thursday and was like, hey, my insurance credit's rolling over. I just want to burn it and get some glasses. And they're like, okay, cool. Let's look around, right? So I'm looking, and they got all these like cheap, like generic frames. Like, yeah, these are, you'll have to pay a little bit on top, but these are pretty much covered. And I was like, okay, well,
I'll take 12 of these.
These are all bunk, right? These are some bunk glasses. My head's really big, so like none of them fit right. And so then I ended up buying a $300 pair of Ray-Bans.
Nice.
Yeah. And I was just like, oh damn. Well, so of course I spent way over my credit just because I had it. But that's the kind of shopper I am. So waiting for those to come in this week. What about you? How's your week? Did you fly around?
Did not fly around. No, the weather was really bad.
It was a gloomy weekend.
Very gloomy weekend. So that was kind of a bummer. But I did something that I think we all have to do at some point in a relationship. We did the what are we going to watch tonight thing.
Ooh.
I usually dominate that because it's either like a comic book movie or a YouTube video on airplanes or some science thing, or we're watching something currently, whether it's Game of Thrones or whatever. So we're kind of like out of things to watch. Didn't want to watch the NBA finals. So Julie's like, well, I want to pick what we're going to watch. I'm like, whatever you want to do, you pick it. So she picked Singing in the Rain.
Dang, throwing shade.
Yeah. I love that movie. It's not that I don't love that movie. It's been a while since I've seen it, and I was not in the mood for a 1950s musical.
Yeah, you got to be in the right mind space.
Yeah, I mean, it was like we had, the end of the weekend, worked out, cleaned up, everything's dialed in, making pizza. It's like you want to have, that's like blockbuster time. So we were watching Singing in the Rain, and that's still a really good movie. It holds up. There are some fun parts about it, but it's so weird to watch that movie and think, dude, this was the Avengers of its day.
Oh yeah.
This was the pinnacle of entertainment. This was what everyone was talking about. Gene Kelly was the biggest star on the planet, and they're tap dancing around, singing goofy songs. That was what entertainment was.
It's crazy. It's crazy to think.
Really funny to look back at it. And I was just like, man, you don't see this anymore. Like, that guy does not exist anymore. Gene Kelly doesn't exist.
Yeah, like someone who's just a sex symbol for their tap dancing
Yes, singing and
dancing moves. I mean, yeah, not at all. I mean, you sort
Not
of
in
see
that
that in like
context.
R&B or something, but
Yeah.
not the same way. Not like
No,
that.
yeah, and the people that are famous for their singing and dancing are famous just because of their singing and dancing. But this was a movie star, so it was really really weird. And then after that was over, it was like early enough that Julia wanted to watch something else, and she's like, "Well, we haven't seen Mamma Mia 2."
Oh god.
So we threw that on, and that is bad.
That is, yeah. I mean, I haven't seen it. So
That
I guess
is
I can't
really
say.
bad. Like, I actually don't mind the first one because the songs are so good and catchy, and like ABBA's great. It's still a corny chick movie, but the second one was really, really brutal, and it was a very interesting, what musicals used to be and what they've become, and they're very different now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've had a fondness for musicals, like growing up. Like I went to a few and enjoyed them, and I think I was a kind of a band nerd, so I always kind of appreciated like the big band pit feel of kind of musicals, and musical theater especially. But modern musicals, I think, have been. I don't know. I didn't see La La Land, which is the last big one I can think of.
It was very good.
Was it very good?
Yeah.
But even just the premise of it, I was just like, I'm just not. I got to be in the mood, and I don't think I've ever been in the mood to watch it. You know what I mean?
Every once in a while, something will creep in that makes sense. Like when Glee first started, that was like a good take on it that people really dug. And it was. I can see. I mean, I have like we watched a little bit of that show and got kind of into it, and it was fun because it was contemporary music for the most part and classic rock. I mean, they were not obviously original songs for the show, but that kind of made it fun. It was just it was exactly what it was, just a Glee Club rendition, mashups, all that crap. But just the idea of a big budget blockbuster. All the main stars. I mean, like Debbie Reynolds was a huge, massive star for a long time. And that was what the entertainment was back then. It was either like war movies or musicals, and that's what you took your date to. That's what was on the top of the charts or the box office. It's weird. It was very weird.
Yeah, but man, you took your lady to see Singing in the Rain. In 52 or something, 50. I don't even know when it came out.
Yeah, 52.
Yeah, you drive her home, and I don't even know if you have a car in 52. You probably are walking. You walk her home.
I think you're borrowing Dad's Chevy.
All right, you borrow your dad's. Yeah, it's definitely a one car per family lifestyle.
Oh yeah.
Definitely, she's taking off those pantaloons after that night out, right? She's thinking you're the Gene Kelly in her life. Yeah, you got a lookout point, little over the shirt action. It's a good time. I mean, because it's like when you took a girl to see Captain America, and he does that thing with the helicopter.
Yeah,
where he's holding the helicopter,
yeah.
and his arms are flexing.
Yeah,
and you just like hear all the women in the theater just like, like you're like, oh my god, there's so much like sexual energy in the air right now. Like it's palatable. Or like. One of our coworkers brought their baby in on Friday, and to see all the women just like
it's amazing,
just like meerkat out of their desks and be like, "Did I hear a baby?"
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's incredible.
But just remember, there's no difference between men and women. We're exactly the same.
And don't get me wrong, men are reactionary in a whole different stupid set of ways.
Yeah.
But we definitely have our instinctual triggers that set them off, and I think that tap dancing. Crooning voice really set the ladies afire back in the day.
It was very funny.
It is very funny.
It's really, really weird.
It's like saying you're gonna hit the head. It's just strange.
It's really strange. Just like that was it. That was if there was entertainment tonight, that movie would be the lead story. And Gene Kelly would be the lead guy.
And the worst thing is, it's not like those movies were dropping like every Friday. You'd have 10 of them, right? So they'd have to talk about that movie every week for like 2 months.
Yeah. The build up must have been hilarious.
Yeah. Think about like when people hear on the streets that there's a new tap dancing movie coming. They're like, oh, when's it launching? Did you buy your midnight tickets?
Oh my God, yeah. Coming next month, featuring Gene Kelly and Debbie Reynolds.
You couldn't even get seats for that thing for weeks, I bet.
The new tap dancing spectacular. But the other thing that was pretty interesting about that movie is the actual topic of it. You know, it's set in the 1920s when talkies first became a thing. So it was like I was listening or watching it thinking from like a technology standpoint, if you remade this movie, because we all know that Hollywood loves remaking all this crap. Like if you were to remake Singing in the Rain right now, what would it be? Because you go from silent pictures to, you know, the really old guy with the terrible teeth going, look at my mouth that is moving in unison with the sounds. You know, and they were thinking like, someone's standing behind the screen, and you know, they're just calling BS on that. So I wonder what if you had to remake Singing in the Rain, what is the technological leap that they're centering the movie around?
AOL.
So you go, all right. So it's a movie made now, but it's set in the 90s.
In the 90s, and it's like AOL and like Napster and like Lycos and web crawler, right?
Yeah.
And Netscape Navigator, you know what I mean? And it's all the like.
Is it YouTube?
YouTube is like the last scene.
Okay.
That's like Google, YouTube is like the future. It's like you fade out into this Facebook, Google, YouTube future.
And who is it? Like George Clooney is like, we have to make these videos 10 minutes?
No,
What?
George Clooney is it's going to be kind of like You Got Mail, right? He's going to be like a young romantic that kind of, well, he's old now, but we need a new hot young man to be like the romantic.
Ryan Reynolds. We go from Debbie Reynolds to Ryan Reynolds. So I tried to get Julia to believe that Debbie Reynolds was Ryan Reynolds' mom.
I bet you had her going for a minute.
She was like, is she really? I'm like, no.
But so Ryan Reynolds is a single man in his whatever, you know, we'll say he's 30, right? In 1996, 7, right? And he's having mixed success dating. He meets nice girls, but he can never really find the one, right? And then he gets an AOL free disc in the mail, right? And
instead of using it as a frisbee,
he tries it out and meets. It has a pretty young lady send him some JPEGs of herself.
Yeah,
that's slow load.
Yeah, it takes like 4 minutes to load.
Yeah, and then it's kind of this like fast smash cut romance of them chatting on AOL, doing searches, MSN chats, ICQs, right? All through the internet age until they become Twitter and YouTube stars, right? And their relationship starts to crumble as the social media money comes pouring in, and they get addicted to likes and retweets.
TM this idea, by the way.
You like it? It's pretty good, right?
It's not Singing in the Rain too, but it is a good, different movie.
But it is in its own way.
It can be.
You know what I mean? That's what I mean. It's a reinvention.
Because I want it to be like a Star is Born style remake where it is the same movie. But instead of talkies, or instead of silent films to talkies, it's, you know, whatever movies to what? Is it like HD, like standard def to HD?
No, because
and instead of I can't stand them, like she's got like super big pores and they don't want to put her on HD or something.
I mean, it could be like, I think the only like parallel you could do would be like CG to like like good CG,
yeah,
right? Whereas like that's not computer generated, that's a puppet, you know?
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
But because other than that, we haven't had any like. Things look amazing now or are faster now, but this is something I kind of harp on when we talk about technology, is that the technology we use is very similar to what we used 40 years ago.
Right. Which was what made it so difficult to think of, like, what would you do? Like, what would the basis for the movie be?
Yeah.
Like watching Hollywood struggle with this change. What, I mean, is, I don't know how you would.
Yeah, I think that's what I think.
Visual effects is probably a good one.
I think what would surprise people the most that aren't interested in computers or technology are kind of layman in that situation is to know that computers really haven't changed. You know, they're smaller, they're more packed with like pathways to crunch this data, but they, for all intents and purposes, operate the same as a tube computer.
Yeah.
You know, the old pictures of the room-sized tube computer doing arithmetic, right? Like, they really are the same basic mechanics. You know, music is recorded in generally the same way. Like there isn't, there hasn't been this shift in how we compute. And I think that's kind of the biggest problem in kind of taking computing to the next level is that we haven't been able to find a way to shift that paradigm.
Well, we are going to talk about something that could be a replacement for the talkie in the remake of Singing in the Rain, but we'll come to that later. But now we've got some news stories. Tony, would you like to talk about?
It's time for the news.
The WWDC, whatever the hell the thing is. Did I get that right?
Yeah, WWDC 2019. What it stands for, no one really knows. It's a top secret thing that no one understands.
Nobody knows.
No, it's completely top secret. Steve Jobs, they say, actually died with that knowledge, and it was never passed on. It's like the that baked beans commercial. Only the dog knows.
Right.
Was that Frank's baked beans?
Something like that.
They're good. They're good baked beans. So this is actually running as we speak right now. We're recording on Thursday afternoon. It's 12 o'clock right now. So there's a couple points I wanted to touch on here.
It's Monday, by the way.
What did I say?
You said Thursday.
I don't know, man. That's a Monday move right there.
That is a Monday move.
It is Monday.
God, I wish it was Thursday.
Monday, June 3rd at noon. I know. I've been saying Thursday, Lex. I have to leave on Thursday for that graduation. It's Monday morning. So here's what's going on. They're announcing stuff right now, and there's a couple things that I wanted to bring up. One was they're going to split the iPad and iPhone OSs apart. I think they used to do this a long time ago and then merge them back in. But the iPad OS has to change. I think their thing is that they can't do an actual like laptop replacement with iPads while it's still running iPhone OS. You know, so they're doing a lot of changes to the iPad, including a new file navigator. They're adding USB support to import photo and video. Safari will now launch desktop websites as opposed to mobile versions. They improved the Apple Pencil, and they improved the home screen. There's a whole new start screen that lets you kind of preview and see notifications for applications on the home screen as opposed to the iPhone way, which I think is cool. I think that I mean, as someone who uses Androids and Android tablets, this all seems pretty lame.
Yeah, well, I use both. I use an iPad a lot right now, and it's so lame.
Yeah, like this all seems. I'm like, when I saw like Marcus Brownlee like tweeting like, oh, like being able to import photos into Lightroom from a USB drive, this is a game changer. And I'm just like, what in the world are you talking about? Like,
yeah, dude.
Like, what universe is this? This is something like a feature, you know?
And you still only have 64 gigabytes worth of storage on them. Like, get out of here.
Yeah, I don't understand at all. Supposedly it's going to support iDrive as like or iCloud folder sharing to connect to network servers, so you can actually work from a server now, which I guess you couldn't do before either. Which also surprised me. I think the most surprising thing about this announcement is like you can't do these things on an iPad as someone who doesn't use an iPad. But so good news. I mean, I will say I've been more and more interested in Apple's ecosystem as I get more and more disenfranchised with Google's. So, you know, maybe if it opens up enough, I could see making a shift. Yeah, you were going to say something?
No, yeah, I agree. It's such a like a lame version of catch up where, you know, the people that have enjoyed Android operating systems for a number of years now realize how silly this is, and how I just don't know why Apple's been so reluctant to play catch up.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's because they don't want to admit that they were lacking in the first place.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. Like they never want to say they're playing catch up. So by that logic,
yeah, they're the innovators.
Yeah. Sorry, I pulled my recorder off the table on accident. You were supposed to talk while I was catching it with my foot.
My bad.
It's
Yeah,
okay. A couple other things. These I'm going through all the updates right now, and these are a couple of the ones I wasn't going to mention, but I'll bring them up just to kind of illustrate the point I was making. Apple Watch OS updates adds voice memo and calculator.
Android have it.
Yeah. New watch faces.
Android has it.
Yeah. New better health app. Good job.
I guess. Yeah.
Great big announcements. The iPhone is getting a dark mode. Dang.
Android did it.
Yeah. Some updates to apps, Safari, Mail, and Note. They're kind of cracking down some privacy tracking stuff, which is good. Memoji upgrades.
Don't care.
You seem pretty excited. And some Siri updates. She can reply. You can reply via AirPods to texts.
Congratulations, Siri.
Yeah, I know.
How is that not a thing? You can't reply on AirPods?
No,
you
couldn't spoken reply, I think, to text messages.
What?
I know.
Good God, man.
I know. Whenever I see this stuff, I'm just shocked that people use iPhones.
I mean, are they holding this crap back so they can release it later and keep the buzz going or something?
I can't understand what else.
Don't get it.
What else could be happening here, but that's neither here nor there.
I feel like they couldn't have figured that out before.
I know.
They had to have known how to do that.
Voice to text has existed for like 100 years.
Oh, that is ducking crazy.
I know. What is interesting, I think this is kind of the announcement I think that is most interesting, even though we'll see if this has impact. The cheese grater is back for 2019. If you don't know about the cheese grater, that is the previous generation Mac Pro. It's kind of the ubiquitous Mac Pro after the R2D2 trash can version never caught hold.
This is a weird looking thing.
It is such a dumb looking thing. And it was terrible for thermals, right? Like if you really wanted to run a lot of power, it would just get super hot. So having kind of the open modular, a normal looking computer case is surprisingly the best solution. I mean, it's shocking to me that they don't understand that people have been making computer cases for 50 years now and have gotten it down to a pretty good size. Do they think PC people are just guessing? Because
it's so funny that they just dictate everything. Everyone else is stupid. We're smart. We're going to give you one case.
Yeah.
You get one computer case.
Yeah. So they're going back to a traditional case style with a
probably
cheese
no
grater.
RGB on that case either.
No RGB.
I hate you, Apple.
It's based on a 28-core Xeon workstation processor. So that's cool. 6 channels of ECC, 1 terabyte of system memory.
Whoa.
Yeah, a terabyte of RAM.
Whoa.
Up to. So obviously that's going to be like the $40,000 version if you do the terabyte. 8 PCIe slots, so you can attach a lot of stuff. 10 gigabyte Ethernet port. And support for dual AMD GPUs.
Good God.
I
mean, this is just a PC for people that don't really care about computer hardware but work at Pixar.
Yeah. I don't like computers, but I work at DreamWorks.
I have to render a bunch of crap.
Yeah. They also are. I mean, I think the coolest thing is these 32-inch HDR displays, the XDR. It's like a 6K, 6016 by 3384, 10-bit panel. This one has blue LEDs, no RGB. I don't know what 1600 nits peak and 1000 nits sustained means, but it sounds like a lot. So
sounds dope.
I will say that they look cool. Like just the screenshots and stuff I saw of it. They look pretty cool. There's like no bezel on them. They got the cheese grater back, but it looks neat. The new cheese grater design is actually not bad.
Yeah.
It's not as tight or like little as the last one. And it looks cool. But other than that, I think this has all been pretty lackluster as far as what they've announced. But we are the premier tech news show. And so
we must deliver that to you.
We have to deliver to you. It's our duty to give you that news. I was going to rhyme, but I couldn't think of a good
That's
rhyme.
okay. No, that's right.
Sorry.
So on the other side of the San Jose area is Google, and they had a cloud outage this past weekend that hit YouTube, Gmail, and a lot of their big partners. So you may not, I mean, even Apple uses Google Cloud services, oddly enough. And so do large retailers like Weight Watchers, PayPal, Target. So this outage hit a lot of companies. And the more these large tech companies like Apple, Google, Amazon start to buy up other properties and kind of integrate everything into one location that is subject to outages, you're going to see this kind of thing happen where you've got widespread outages where not only does your Gmail account not work and YouTube account not work, but you can't buy anything on PayPal. The Target POS system is down. You can't order anything from from Walmart online. Your credit card doesn't authorize correctly when you're trying to check out on Amazon. I mean, all these things are going to start having like a lot larger widespread repercussions than they have in the past, where one service might go down. We've all seen those. Twitter was down for 30 minutes and everyone's losing their crap or whatever. YouTube was down, I think, like a month ago or something, and it was like a big deal. Everyone's pissed off that YouTube was down. But I mean, YouTube, Gmail, like all at the same time. We rely on fewer and fewer companies now. Facebook owns so many properties at this point that if they have something hit them, whether it's a cyber attack or just a bug, a lot of the stuff that you interact with every day could be screwed.
Yeah, so much of our interaction is dictated by uptime. Like just interacting with the world, not with each other. I mean, that as well.
It's kind of moving towards that anyway.
Yeah, but that as well. But just even, kind of every transaction you do, every at your calendar, I don't have a written calendar. I don't know any phone numbers. You know what I mean? Luckily that's kind of locally available on my phone, but that's also all backed up to my Google Drive, right? Everything seems to be connected. And so when one of these services kind of goes down, it really shows you how scary, impactful these things are.
Yeah.
Right.
So it was not huge news. I mean, I didn't actually know about it until this morning because I was busy watching Singing in the Rain last night. But it was an interesting, the highlight for me there was just how many other services were impacted as a result of that outage, because so many people use Google's cloud engine. Just like AWS, so many companies use Amazon Web Services that if that had an outage, it would be more than just Amazon that would be affected. So just keep an eye out for that. If you think something might be down, there's services like Down Detector that you can, somehow access if your internet's still up.
Or just keep refreshing it. That's what I do.
Just keep clicking F5.
Yeah, F5, Control Shift R for like the cache clearing refresh. Just keep going at it. Keep spam that F5.
Okay, so now I want to let's get into the porn conversation.
The big news of the day.
Yeah, the big news. So I've heard this term deep fake for a while now.
I search deep fake all the time.
Do you? Okay. So I knew what it was, but I didn't really know how good it's become in the last few months since I've kind of been made aware of it. And I like stand-up comedy. So I'll like Google bits and stuff and people doing impressions. I think people that do good impressions are awesome. I can just watch those forever. So I found this video of Bill Hader doing an impression on one of the late night shows. I can't remember which one it was, of Arnold Schwarzenegger. And his Schwarzenegger's really good. So I'm watching the video of him sitting on the couch, and I was more listening to it than I was watching the video. And I just happened to glance over at the video, and I see Arnold Schwarzenegger's face on Bill Hader's body. And I was like, what is that? So I rewound it again, and the video was him on this late night show talking, and when he would do Arnold's voice, his face would just not like, crappy layover, like a South Park style animation.
No, deepfakes are real life, bro.
Yeah, his face slowly turned into it, almost where you couldn't it was imperceivable that it would, just like transition to Arnold's face while he's doing this impression. And I was like, oh my God, this is the deep fake that I keep hearing about.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks exactly like Arnold. Obviously, he's a little bit skinnier, being on Bill Hader's body. But I got to thinking of all the news stories that have come out and how much importance we place on video evidence now. Think of everybody that's gotten in trouble because something was on video.
Mm-hmm.
NFL players and elevators and the who was it?
Robert Kraft.
Yeah, well, that video never came out,
But that video's there.
but it exists.
Mhm.
What's the other? The guy that hit the dog in the elevator. What company was that? Like Nordstrom or Costco? It was some. I remember.
I don't remember.
It was some company in Seattle, I want to say. But that existence of video evidence, like this dude
Like
is
Kim Kardashian.
Kim Kardashian.
It's a different kind of video.
Different
but
kind of video. But the point is that all these like instances of things happening and more attention being paid to them because they were on video, we're getting to a point very quickly, if we're not already there, where you can make a video of almost anything and it's imperceivable.
So have you heard of the fakening?
No.
The fakening, bro. This guy, it's a comedian, I think. I honestly haven't looked it up. So I've seen it before on Twitter because Tom Segura is a comedian I like who kind of is involved in some of it, but then I heard them talking about it on H3 actually, and so it's a guy and he does a ton of these kind of deep fake but like comedy sketches.
Yeah.
And they're funny and they're pretty good. Like some of them are, I don't know, some of them look pretty goofy, but especially if the person doing it is even kind of close to what the person looks like, they're pretty spot on. He's on Instagram, and here I'm gonna hand this to you for a minute.
Oh, is it this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So they're pretty intense, and I would suggest if you guys want to see. And this is like this isn't professionals, right? This is like some Instagram dude, you know what I mean? Like making videos, and they're not bad, right?
They're almost in some cases like purposefully kind of goofy looking.
Yeah, they're a joke, right? So they're all like laid over, like Kanye on the hide your wife, hide your kids meme, or what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're silly because you recognize both the deep fake face, the face, and the where they're being placed, right?
Yeah.
But they're kind of great in that sense. But I think the real scary thing is it's like, how do you know when you're looking at someone you've never seen before?
Exactly.
Right? Like
exactly.
I think it's so easy when you look at these faces that you recognize, kind of have that. We talked about it actually a few weeks ago with Pokemon, like how your brain kind of etches in this like deep knowledge of faces when you're a kid and what they're supposed to look like, and you could recognize people you saw as a child, as an adult, because you have this kind of deep built-in memory of those people or cartoons or something you watched back then. And I think that's fine, and that helps you kind of avoid these kinds of things. But, when you've never seen that person before and the first thing you see is this deep fake video of them, saying something racist or you know what I mean? And then you see them in real life. Like, let's just take, for instance, I mean, the election, 2020, right? And so there's like 9 million Democrats running for president. I've visually seen maybe 5 of them.
Yeah.
Right. So if someone told me that, like Pete Gottlieb or whatever, right? What's his name? Buttigieg. Is that his name?
Yeah.
The gay guy?
Mayor Pete.
Yeah. He seems like a very friendly guy. But if someone showed me a video of him, saying that, Mexicans are the worst or something, I've never seen the guy, right? If that was the first thing I saw, I would believe it, like if it was close enough. Like there's no validation there. And the funniest thing is, so there's this, it just popped up. This VFX crew called Corridor. They make like YouTube, like kind of like Freddie W used to do, like the YouTube like weird VFX videos. they started reviewing like video clips online. They did like the Sonic trailer and Detective Pikachu, and they were doing Star Wars, kind of showing the well, they did like Fast 7. They're showing when dead people are kind of reanimated in video on movies, right? So Fast 7, Star Wars, and they were showing Carrie Fisher, and so they showed side by side clips. Well,
Who is Debbie Reynolds' actual, or yeah.
So they're showing side by side clips, right? And the first clip they showed was Carrie Fisher in, was it the latest Star Wars? I think it was the latest Star Wars, right? And where she was completely CG reconstructed, her face was reconstructed. It looks pristine and beautiful, but it doesn't look real, right? The second scene they showed was kind of where they took the source material from, which was, it was kind of a direct cut from a scene from the original Star Wars. And then they showed a deep fake that was fan created of the same scene that she was made in. And I'm going to tell you, the best looking one was the deep fake. Something about the way that that this technology is able to kind of construct the whole face, right? Like what they were talking about, how like, you know, the issue with making digital faces is that so much moves on your face when you speak or when you smile, right? Your pores stretch and contract. Like the hairs change direction if you have a beard or stubble. The muscles like on your forehead move when your mouth moves, and your cheeks move, and you know the shadows change around your face. And as you turn, like what they're talking about was like there's a, you know, at the edge of a light source in your face, there's a glow. You know, like if you shine a flashlight from behind your ear, you know how your ear turns orange and you can see the light through?
Yeah.
Well, that happens everywhere on your face, right? When light comes into your nose, the bottom of your nose is more orange than the rest of your face, right? And when you build a computer generated face, it's so hard to see these things because they make them very flat, and it's hard to kind of build those in technology. But these deep fakes, because of the way they're built somehow, and the way they use source to build, do a very good job of kind of simulating this, because they're not being built from scratch. They're taking existing and overlaying it, and it was just crazy to see it. It definitely brings up a lot of like scary questions and ethical questions.
Yeah, and that's what is interesting to me. So like you said, with the upcoming election, is there are some political uses for this. There are some personal uses for this, and they're really good. And if you don't know what a deep fake is, it's just another made up word, you know, just like selfie used to be. Like there was never a word for it, just like taking a picture of yourself. We have to give it some cutesy name. So deep fake is just a cutesy name for overlaying somebody else's face on somebody else's body, essentially. So you can have whoever you want put on the face of somebody doing a specific action that you want to depict this person doing. Obviously, there's a plethora of pornographic uses for this, but it's getting so good that it can be, in the right circumstance, if it's presented in a specific way, can be imperceivable from reality. So like that CEO that was shown hitting a dog and had to, you know, leave, you know, was fired from his company. You can, if you don't like somebody, you can put their face on that guy's body, or stage something where you filmed an act happening, and you can put whoever's face on whoever, you know, an actor's body that has a similar body shape to them, and send that to the news, and they are ruined now. I
mean, even, you know, what I think is crazy is like, and this goes hand in hand with what you're saying, but it's like, you know, who owns what you look like?
Bingo.
You know, like who, you know, we kind of talked about this when we talked about virtual reality too. I can just remember this sort of coming up when we talked about VR in an earlier episode. That was a long time ago. I can't even remember. That was back in the day. But, you know, like why can't I make you Tom Cruise in our video? I guess Tom Cruise isn't really your height. They need a taller actor. But for conversation's sake, why can't I make you Tom Cruise in my video, right? Why can't I take a picture, scan it out? I mean, I'm sure that the technology is going to get better. I mean, if you saw that Samsung thing where they were building people from a photo, you know, ethically, why can't I be like, I won't say you're Tom Cruise. I will say you are who you are. I won't misidentify you. Yep. But, you know, why can't you like Tom Cruise? Like, why isn't that what I know it's so, because people do it for satire now, right?
Yeah.
And it's
there's like likeness rights and stuff like that, and the same thing with building voices from scratch. You've seen that Joe Rogan thing where he has this whole sentence,
Yeah.
and you can kind of tell that it's not him. Like there's some goofy sounds going on in the background, but I mean, so not only can you put somebody's face on someone else's body doing whatever you want, but you can also make up dialogue that is in their voice. And it's progressing to the point where we're gonna come to a point as a society where we won't be able to believe everything that we see. And it could be from foreign governments. They can say, hey, there's a group of, soldiers from Russia that are standing at our border, and it could be completely doctored. It could look totally real. And you can have Putin there saying, I'm going to burn Yugoslavia to the ground or whatever, and it looks and sounds exactly like it. And if there's no real way to prove that it didn't happen, how are you going to believe it or not, or not take it for its,
Yeah, I mean,
take it seriously.
It's funny because I think the ultimate solution is we're going to have to kind of, at least for matters of importance, revert to an earlier time in some ways, right? Like you cannot just trust the words you hear, right? You cannot react to random videos you see, or and true, like the correct. An appropriate use of this by a clandestine group with a plan and a way to present this information that seems authentic can definitely do some harm with it. But in general, if you have a video of Putin saying, I'm going to, drop a nuke on the Slavs, right? Like, is that a slur to say Slavs?
Probably.
The one, is Yugoslavia still a place? I don't think it is.
I don't think it is either.
Wherever you people live, and you're a beautiful people, I'm sure, and I would love to experience your culture and your food. But if there was a random video like that, you would have to be able to authenticate not the content of the video, but the intention of the person you're seeing.
There's so many potential uses for this that are not good intention.
I'm gonna tell you this: the business we need to start for 2020 is lookalike face scans, right? So instead of using actors to create these scans, you find people with similar facial structures. Like they don't even have to look the same. They can have different hair or whatever, right? And you bring them in, you do them up to look just like the actor, and then you provide high-res 3D scans of their faces and sell those with likeness rights.
Pretty good.
That way anyone can make a fake Tom Cruise, because the guy who you're using isn't Tom Cruise. It's Bob McGee.
And now, like, like in commercials, you can say celebrity voices are impersonated, or there's things that you have to do in those circumstances for legal reasons. But I'm thinking about it more from a news cycle perspective. I mean, how many people have been, the Me Too stuff? How many people were falsely accused?
Yeah.
It's like it happens. There are people that are out for money and they don't care about other victims of sexual abuse. So they say, this guy touched me inappropriately one time in 1998. And the guy's like, look, I can't know that didn't happen. And you're just taking someone's word for it. Now, what if she comes to the table now with a video that looks like it is from 1998 and it is clearly, whoever insert actor's face, jumping on top of her at a party or something.
That's what I'm going to do.
So now you have this video, and you can say, as that guy, like, that is not me. That is a doctored video, and it looks exactly like you. And you just, like, you're screwed.
Well,
you're totally screwed.
As a society, that's what I mean. I mean, that's why I think educating people in a society about technology is important, because, it's just like, if you saw a note, like if this girl, this hypothetical person, male or female, was like, I will keep using Tom Cruise just because he's the example we use. Tom Cruise had a sexual relationship with me in the 90s, right? And you wrote a note and said, I'm Tom Cruise. I totally hooked up with this chick signed Tom Cruise. And you look at it, you're like, well, I don't believe Tom Cruise wrote this. You know what I mean? Because you don't. we know better than to just see some written words and be like, it says Tom Cruise, it had to be him, right? And so I understand these videos are another level and more believable due to the nature of them. But
and it's funny you say that too, because obviously there's handwriting forensics, and as a result of these deepfake videos, now the CIA and FBI are training digital what do you call it? Experts in
like
forensics for
forensics,
digital, digital and audio forensic teams.
I mean, because I'll tell you this, even right now, like if you post, like if you try and create evidence of something and you give a video format that's not the raw from whatever you record it from, which you can see in metadata, it's pretty hard for people to take that seriously. Like if there's evidence that
it's easy. If you have a deep fake that's good enough to pass for somebody doing something, you can completely create a raw file that looks exactly, it's indistinguishable.
No, but the metadata won't match.
You can hack that, dude. You can change all of that stuff. If you're working with people that are good enough to make fakes like that,
well, that's what I mean. I don't think you
deliver a .wav file that's perfect.
That's what I mean. I don't think you have to be good enough. And .waves are weird because .waves, for one, not a lot of things record raw .waveforms.
Yeah, or like MP4.
I'm just saying, like a lot of video formats specifically timestamp their creation in a way that's not easy to edit, right?
Yeah, but with social media, you don't even need to deliver raw. You could just post it to Instagram, post it to Twitter. It's going to be uploaded, so all that's wiped, and you can't now there's a video of this celebrity hitting this dog in an elevator.
Yeah, I mean, but that's what I'm implying. That like,
yeah,
that's why it's important for people to understand that these things will become ubiquitous in the very near future, and if you don't understand that, if you are going to be, if you're going to believe, every video you see as, like, I think the thing we've kind of lost a lot as a society, right, is this desire to believe people's intentions, right? Like, we want to assume that everyone is the worst thing they've ever said, right? And so, you dig up an old Twitter post of James Gunn, and it's some dumb shit. I don't even remember what his Twitter post was that got him fired. But you pull up some old Twitter post. It's 10 years later, and you're like, "See, you're this person, right?" And he's like, "I'm not that person. I got that. That was, I was trying to be, I was trying to get attention, and it was wrong, and I was stupid." And be like, "Nope, you're that person." And it's like, no, you can see through his actions that he's not that person, right? That he's a thinking, caring person. I'm not the hugest James Gunn fan. I don't know much about him, to be honest. But from what I've seen of his work and his tweets and stuff, like, he seems like a decent guy. And this desire to paint people by the worst thing you can find of them is it's destructive and toxic. And so, yeah, people that do that see a video of someone that has never been racist before, and he's just like, F Mexicans. I use Mexicans because I'm Mexican. He's like, F beaners. I don't want to. They should all die. And it's like, well, that's not consistent with their behavior, right? But they still want to follow that path and be like, no, this is you. I saw a weird video on Twitter, right? Like, yeah, those people are always going to be convinced, right? Because those people are looking for anything. But I don't think that represents the world, and I do think that as people become aware, they will become, like, as people became aware that fake handwriting was a thing, right? Like, fake signatures and all this, right? Yeah. I think there's still people that don't understand that you can just sign someone else's name, but
it's video has become so powerful now, where you can have, again, an NFL star that beat up his girlfriend, not have any repercussions because there was no video, and the same thing happens to someone that does have a video, and now all of a sudden, he's out of a job, and
yeah, but he really did that.
I know, I know he really did that.
I'm just saying, like,
but I'm just as an example of the importance of video evidence that we've kind of fallen back on now, where there's the story of the guy that threw his girlfriend down on a bed full of guns. And there was no video evidence of that, and he got off with it. I mean, he there was the I don't think the league even suspended him. But then you've got the guy, and I'm blanking on the names, and they're really not important to the story. But you got the guy who was shown on the security footage at the the Vegas elevator, the basement of the hotel, like grabbing his girlfriend by the hair and throwing her in the elevator and like hitting her and stuff. Equally disgusting as an act, but it was caught on video, and he was just out. You're suspended for a year. You're fined millions of dollars. I don't know if he even got a chance to play again. I don't know, but the point is that he got in trouble. The other guy, because there's no video evidence, didn't get in trouble for an act that was equally disgusting.
That's because the NFL's the worst.
Well, the NFL is the worst, but it happens, in so many situations where if someone was like a CEO of a company hit a dog in an elevator, you'd be like, that really sucks. But you show me a video of it, and that guy's got to go. Pete is at picketing in front of it just naturally, when we see these videos, people freak out. So the easier it becomes to fake them, the more of those reactions are going to happen to people that are not deserving of it.
I think
and at that point because I agree, like you can say, yeah, that's not my signature, and we have to believe them. But at that point, with this video evidence falsified, it's going to be too late.
I'll be honest, and I think this is like the saddest thing about all this is the easier it becomes to fake them, the less people are going to give a shit when they see a video.
Exactly. So when somebody does have a video come out, it's going to be dismissed.
I mean, I think, and this is not a positive thing I'm about to say, but I think that's a big issue with like rape victims and like hate crime victims. Like this Jussie Smollett thing, and is that we've seen so many versions of this, like people crying wolf, that it's hard to take people seriously. And believe me, I think people should be taken seriously. Like, I think if someone is being a racist or a homophobe and hurting people, like, I don't think we should have those people on the planet for, you know what I mean? Like I don't think those people should exist if they're going to act that way.
Right.
But by faking it, we've created this mentality where it's like, I don't know if I really believe what you're saying.
Yeah.
And especially
for sure.
Like rape's so serious, right? Like, and I think a man that would rape a woman is a really, like, it's not someone that should coexist in society with the rest of us. But the fact that that these charges get thrown around, especially like these college cases where where we see clear evidence that this is not what has happened, creates this air of
mistrust in victims.
Yeah, as mistrust in victims. And that's so dangerous to have. Yep. And that's what we're going to create with this. And that's the real, that to me, I care less about getting a scary video of Vladimir Putin saying he's going to nuke the world, because I think that there are diplomatic channels to be like, hey, what's up with this? You know what I mean? Maybe if it was like a despot, right? Maybe if it was Kim Jong, Un? Is that the one we got now? If maybe it was Kim Jong Un, and we don't really have a clear path to communicate with him. But, I think in general, those types of things get resolved in long, slow, bureaucratic ways. But
you'd hope so. But if it's a situation where, war crimes are committed and the victim is showing a video of what happened, and there needs to be immediate retaliatory action as a result of that, like, you gotta, is that real or not?
I think that we're not at a level of ignorance that we can't corroborate, something of that scale. Right. That's all I'm saying. Like,
yeah. But if you're the one perpetrating the fake, you could be like, well, what more do you want? Like, we have video of Russia loading nuclear weapons onto a train outside of our border. Like, what else do you want? Obviously, there are ways to back that up. But, if your ally is showing you footage that
this is how much we know how much that train weighs. We know where that train currently is. We have sat videos of that train being loaded that do not match what you're showing us. Send us this raw video, right? Immediately. Mm-hmm. You have no time to prepare this video. Send us the raw format of this video, and we'll corroborate from that. And you cannot produce that. They'll be like, this is not credible.
Yeah, maybe.
Because
that's why it's the forensics of it is so important.
Yeah, and but that's what I mean. I think at a global crisis level, I could see in situations of terror, right? Like I think that gets scary when you're looking at like 9/11 just happened, right? And everyone's losing their minds. No one is thinking sanely. And then someone posts a weird deep fake.
Yep.
I mean, then people, I mean, if 9/11 just happened and someone posted a deep fake and it was Kanye West saying, I'm going to make 9/11 happen. Yeah, that's crazy. Like, the results of that could be catastrophic to at least that person.
And,
right?
and equally as catastrophic to the falsifying, victims or like the Duke case and stuff.
Yeah.
If we've been lulled into thinking that, we can't take anything at face value and that really was Kanye or, whoever it was.
Yeah.
And we're like, well, we need time to verify this and, more people die, missed opportunities. And that's like the extreme scale of it, not even talking about people's careers and, relationships.
I mean, that's the problem with fraud in general is it creates a system where we can't aid victims, and that's what's really fucked up about all this, right? Is like, is like
we can't aid them as quickly as they deserve to get that aid
as they need
we
aid,
have to
right?
we got to make sure that you actually were a victim of this crime. And like, are you kidding me? Like, I got the video right here. Like, it's on the security camera.
Yeah.
Well, we can't be so sure. We got to check. He's like, you can see him hitting me right here.
Like, this is a different era, Yeah.
We got to make sure that, like, that's what that's the worst result of this.
Yeah,
I think
so too. I think that's the biggest problem that we run into is the fact that we make nothing believable, and it creates more victims and creates a harder time prosecuting actual criminals or actual perpetrators.
It's not the false accusations. It's not that first video where we falsely accuse somebody that didn't do it. It's the times when we don't accuse somebody that
it's the 10,000th real one.
Yes.
When we all refuse to believe it because we've seen 9,000 of these before and none of them were real.
Yeah.
And that's what's sad, right? That's sad to be that person. It's sad to be a person that has a video of someone raping them knowing no one's going to believe it because every asshole on the internet posts deep fakes of people getting raped.
Yep.
Like that's what's sad.
Yeah.
All right. That's gloomy.
Great way to end episode number 34 of the Tech Yeah podcast, the world's favorite technology news podcast.
The leading podcast for technology news. And I call it tech culture is kind of...
Tech culture is a good one.
It's kind of the way... Since we have the gaming show too.
Yeah.
I'm going to say the leading podcast for tech culture.
The tech culture hub.
Yeah,
of the internet.
A hub for tech culture.
So if you do enjoy the show, please forward the link to a friend that, and your mom that you think might enjoy.
Moms love us.
Our ramblings and whatever takes on news you want to call what we do. They're not hot.
They're
takes.
hot. They're hot takes.
I don't know.
The hottest.
So we appreciate everybody that listens and follows along. And yeah, we appreciate all of our TYPs, our Tech Yeah podcasters.
Love those TYPs.
Yeah.
Check us out, techyeahpodcast.com. You can send us an email, techyeahpodcast@gmail.com. That's all on the website, so you can check it there. You can also go, if you want to share the link with your friends, you can send them to techyeah.pizza. The redirect is working. We are functioning. techyeah.pizza is live, everyone.
So
it's an exciting time. It's an exciting time for Tech Yeah Studios, okay? But yeah, with that, we love you guys so much and appreciate you listening, and we're done.
Love you guys.